And by that context you mean elections, currency rates, oil prices and so on?
Anything, really. And our response to this is, that's exactly what our job is, to be ahead of the time. Before a political decision can be prepared and implemented, we must pave the way forward for all the major players and for all the countries involved in this situation.
If you as experts don't get heard, do you think it can come to a use of force? Is the US or Israel's strike at Iran's alleged nuclear facilities a possibility, a tangible possibility?
Well, life has taught us that anything is possible. But I'd say this is the worst scenario one could imagine. The Luxembourg Forum's experts have published a study assessing the existing options for an intervention, and there is simply no successful scenario. Some are better, some are worse, but there is no winning option at all. I think there is generally no alternative to diplomacy and political bargaining. But this does not mean we should turn a blind eye on Iran's failure to comply. Those who ignore the requirements of the UN Security Council and the IAEA must bear full responsibility for it, in accordance with the international law. That is, with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions.
Mr. Kantor, in your previous interview for our program, you described the Luxembourg Forum as the voice of civil society on the issues of non-proliferation. This motto has remained, but I'm still unclear as to who your target audience is. Whom are you addressing in the first place? Is it public opinion? Is it grassroots initiative? Is it political decision makers? Or is what you do a form of lobbying?
No. Alexander, I can tell you the expert community doesn't lobby anyone's interests. Like I said, we pave the way to the future. Who do we address? Everyone. We send our reports to decision makers in all the leading powers of the world and to all official international institutions and NGOs. On top of that, even if you look at today's session, you will find our colleagues from similar initiatives, such as the Pugwash conferences, among the staff of the Luxembourg Forum.
The Pugwash people are really lobbyists, aren't they?
No.
No?
They aren't. I've known the Pugwash conferences for 30 years. I can't consider them lobbyists. They are scientists, and their staffing philosophy is different from ours, actually.
Let me rephrase the question then. If you want to address the authorities, you have to convince them. But if you want to talk to the public, you have to be appealing to the public. What is your target audience? Do you seek to appeal to the average citizen and get your ideas across, or do you aim to influence decision makers? Because that would require a different tool set.
I would say our aim is to present solid facts. We are not a populist organization.
Do you think the modern society has trust in facts these days? Because many say it doesn't. People believe in ideology and myths, but the time when people used to listen to scientists is over. Or so they say.
I would say that people today believe in things that haven't been trivialized, if you will. If you were to come up with a formula for getting your message across, I'd say you definitely need to say unexpected things.
And you've also said the nuclear issue is getting trivialized today. So are you concerned with that?
Yes. To answer your question, we don't engage in populism. We don't aim to be everyone's darling or catch as much public attention as possible. Our purpose is to present an objective outlook at the situation for anyone entitled to make assessments or make decisions. For those who aren't ready to make such a decision today, that'll be an issue for future deliberation.
Says Vyacheslav Kanter, president of the International Luxembourg Forum on Preventing Nuclear Catastrophe. Spotlight will be back shortly after a break, so stay with us. Go. Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Gurnov, and just a reminder that my guest on the show today is Vyacheslav Kanter, president of the Luxembourg Forum on Preventing Nuclear Catastrophe.
Some of the world-renowned experts on nuclear prevention gathered in Luxembourg 5 years ago. Out of that meeting, a non-governmental organization emerged, the International Luxembourg Forum on Preventing Nuclear Catastrophe. Since then, it has become quite an influential body on issues of international security, with members seeing feedback on the highest level.
We were proud that some government at least heard our voice. Many of the participants of the forum from time to time were invited as advisors, consultants to governments. So there was a very important contribution.
To celebrate the forum's 5-year-long non-proliferation effort, the fledgling organization chose the German capital. Berlin is the city which knows best to what extremes can a clash of ideologies lead. The Berlin Wall is one of the most vivid symbols of intolerance. 20 years after the wall fell, Berlin has become a place to build bridges between civilizations and to talk peace. Building bridges between civilizations is what the Luxembourg Forum's big manifesto is all about. It's in fact a scientific research going as far as trying to measure tolerance.
It's an attempt to find an alternative to the two outdated concepts which are not working. One is Huntington's theory of the inevitability of a clash of civilizations, and the other is multiculturalism. In this book we've come up with a new approach we call secure tolerance.
The Luxembourg Forum's president, Vyacheslav Kanter, is sure the manifesto has an answer of how to cope with some of the worst threats of the modern world, including nuclear terrorism. Some other participants of the organization offer very simple reasons to put weapons aside.
At a time when we have a great recession taking place in the global economy, it is very important for us to ponder as to why we should continue to spend $100 billion on the nuclear weapon programs of all the countries that have nuclear weapons.